In this video, I'm going to talk about why the future of trading cryptocurrencies is going to be extremely dangerous. It's not just crypto, trading stocks and financial instruments generally, but especially crypto is going to be absolutely dangerous. And it's partly related to what just happened in the last couple of days. Now, some of you guys got absolutely wiped out. I hope it's not you guys, because you guys are, diamond hands, dollar cost averagers like myself. But a lot of people holding XRP apparently got wiped out in the last couple of days in the liquidation event. And if you look at what happened over the last 2 days, nothing particularly different happened that would have caused this to happen in the first place, right? Okay, we had the Ripple's banking license being suspended or paused, whatever. And then we had the news that the fact that XRP was in that bucket of ETFs or bucket of tokens in that BitShares ETF was why the SEC decided to pause the approval that they had, or suspended the approval that they had previously granted. And the people who control the price of XRP, at least for now, that are able to control the price of XRP, then took the opportunity to do a sell-off that made it look like people were panicking. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So people then eventually panicked and people got liquidated. People that were, very, very long on XRP basically got liquidated. We had people who had stop losses, which got triggered. And when stop losses get triggered, it dips the price even more, and then liquidated even more people, and then cascaded to a price that actually dipped under $3 for a little bit, right? It was $2.900 or 98 something, $2.98, something like that, at least on the exchange that I was looking at. Okay, now obviously that responded immediately, bounced back with people with buy orders in that range. My buy order was executed, so I managed to dollar cost average at around $3, right? Because I did say to myself that if we hit $3, I was going to go in a little bit more than normal. So I did a double dollar cost average amount at $3, and I'm very happy because I'm already up on that. Even though last time I checked, it went to $3.20, and then heads and shoulders back to 308, whatever. Now it's just moving sideways, bouncing between 3 and 320, something like that, right? Which is fine, okay? Which is basically moving sideways at a lower bar than it was before. Again, that's because of the liquidation event. Now, why does this actually happen? Why can't people just control their FOMO and fear and FUD? Why does it keep working, even though this is a well-known phenomenon? I was watching a video this morning by Zach Rector. I'm sure you guys probably watch him. Very awesome content creator, XRP, huge fanboy. And he talked about how he almost got liquidated. This is somebody who understands the system. This is somebody who knows about the fear and greed index. This is someone who knows about FUD and FOMO. This is somebody who knows about market makers and whales and how they utilize this system, in our brains, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, to control the market, right? And even he almost got, he actually said in this video that he marked that very day that the liquidation happened as a day to basically close those longs, but then, or to avoid placing longs rather. And even then, he still did it. He still managed to FOMO in, right? Because the people who control this stuff have mastered our brains. They've mastered us and the behavior over time. And this is going to be very, very dangerous very, very soon, which I'm going to talk about again in a minute. So how does this work and why does it work? Well, the fear and greed index, or the fear and greed response, come from the deepest, most primitive part of our brains. And that part of our brain is responsible for protecting us from actual fear, actual stuff, right? And harnessing actual greed evolutionarily or design-wise, depending on your worldview. And the process is supposed to protect us from situations where, thinking about the situation would take too long and put our lives in danger, responding to stimuli that clearly would harm us, right? It's that part of the brain that also handles our autonomous nervous system, our reflexes. Something comes out of your eye, no time to think about it, your eyes shut, right? Emotional responses of fear, when someone goes to punch you, it regulates your body, prepares you for a fight, flight, or to flee. It's also the part that is responsible for anxiety and things like that, right? So that part of our brain is so primitive, but it has a direct fire hose connection to our physiology that the response time of that part of the brain is orders of magnitude faster than the part of the brain that actually regulates it, which is the younger, newer part of the brain, frontal lobe, whatever, that is the more intellectual part that goes to regulate our emotions, right? So it's the part that has a little bit of time to think things through. It's to do with strategy, long-term planning, thinking, calculation, and stuff like that, right? But that part of the brain is much slower than the emotional part, right? And even though it does a good job regulating the emotional part, the more intelligent, I guess, you are, or the more developed that part is, the less impulsive, less sort of emotional you become because you're able to regulate yourself better. But now and again, the emotions are so strong, so sudden that the intellectual part of your brain struggles to regulate the emotional part. And this is for everybody, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. The people who are able to not respond emotionally to some of these things that we respond emotionally to are either sort of hyper geniuses who have these insanely well developed intellectual brain that are able to suppress that part of their brain, or they're people who are sociopaths, psychopaths, who have a pathology that can basically remove all their emotions, aka people like Dexter. I don't know if you saw that series. Or, people like, these Warren Buffetts of the world that are able to detach from their emotions and not get affected by any of this stuff. Or people who delegate their minds to algorithms and machines, mathematics, charts, things that are pre-calculated, pre-laid, and they're able to step back and let that take control. Now that takes all manner of emotional fortitude, I guess, age, experience, call it what you want, which is where the danger is going to come from, okay? Now that we're moving into the era of artificial intelligence, AI, we're going to see an era where AI starts to trade against us, right? Now, AI doesn't have any of these evolutionary issues, the physiological issues that we have. The AI doesn't have a biological brain, no fire hose connection to a autonomous nervous system, no anxiety, no depression, none of that. AI is a cold, calculating box that will do what it wants to do based on raw data. So AI is not going to be subject to FOMO. AI is not going to be subject to FUD. AI cannot be perturbed, cannot be shaken out of their hands, right? And AI will take a cold, ruthless, calculated action when it needs to. And as time goes on, we will be no match for such a system. Trading is going to change forever unless the exchanges and, I don't know, whoever is in control of trading, regulations and stuff, does something to limit access of AI. I'm not talking about the trading bots of old. I'm talking about the new generative, more advanced artificial intelligence algorithms that are able to, master the fuzzy logic, the decision-making process. They've been trained with terabytes of data of our behavior over time. AI can also access a fire hose and react in record speed. They can make orders, make trades, sell, buy at such a high speed. They can make 300, 500, 1,000 trades across thousands of platforms, all simultaneously, all looking at the data at the same time. Whereas us, we can focus on maybe one or two at the same time, and we're kind of slow. We have a thinking process. We have greed, fear. We can read the news and respond emotionally based on what they're trying to make us do. So manipulation is about to enter a completely new era, right? When it comes to trading crypto and stocks, I guess. So unless regulation comes down to limit the power of AI or the access of AI to trading, we're entering a completely different era. But as for now, what AI cannot do, or what the manipulators cannot do, or what the people who shake our hands cannot do, is take our spot positions, right? Which is why I'm a huge fan of dollar cost averaging, because that isn't susceptible to emotional swings. You can't liquidate my spot position. So, there are two ways of getting your money. If you have leverage trades, futures and stuff, they can play with the price and liquidate it regardless of how you feel. Whether or not you know that the market is solid, or you don't fall for the FUD or whatever, once you've placed a leverage trade, they can manipulate the price and they can take your money from you. Now, if you're in spot position, what they can try and do is manipulate your mind. They shake your emotions, shake, and try to get you to sell, because they can't access that on the normal price, control. So they try to access that part of your brain that is in control of the fear and the greed. Now, when AI becomes a thing, I think it's all over. Not financial advice, do your own research, but I'm expecting some good times still this week. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.